T.L.P.C. everyone, Professor Joel with Professor Frankie and Master James. These beautiful fellas are about to have an 8th generation singles match. They always have great ones.
Oh, yes. Ooh.
James, you want to start out?
First off, to say for the least, I'm excited to play against Frankie, having our ragtag dog battles that we usually have, especially in our 8th gen battle that we've usually been going on with against each other, looking at each other, knowing that we've got our love for our old builds, but coming in with those new builds and figuring out that our old builds, well, they're not as strong as the new builds that are coming up in this new gen. So we really got to sit there and try to figure out some new builds and try to test them against each other. And right now we're feeling kind of dog scrappy. So, you know, he's come up with something new, and I'm going to have my usual back behind me usual 6 that I have. So hopefully he can penetrate my defenses and take me down in the end.
All right, Frankie, how do you feel?
Well, I feel good, but kind of awkward. Do you want me to penetrate your defenses and take you down?
Keynotes to take it all in.
But I feel good. Yeah, it is time for some old dogs to learn some new tricks, because these new strategies coming out are kind of getting to the point where it's like, all right, what do you do?
Oh, man.
Reevaluate your whole scenario and how you process and view Pokemon at the core of its true battling potential. Well, guys, let's have a great match. I know it will be one. Stay tuned, everybody. T.L.P.C. T.L.P.C. everyone. Commentating with Master Finn is Professor Joel. We got Master James versus Professor Frankie in a good free-for-all 8th gen singles battle. Let's have a great battle, everybody.
Welcome, everyone.
I'm really excited to see this battle. These guys have fought it out before in Gen 4, and then they've already fought out in Gen 8, and I think Master James actually won that one. So let's see if Professor Frankie came back with a vengeance.
Well, it looks like Master James is starting out with that beautiful type advantage. And I'm sure he has the ability, Serene Grace, which gives him the double chance for flinch, which I believe is at 60%. So more than half the time he hits you with that stab air type move, or flying type move is what I should say, he's gonna basically flinch you.
Indeed, Mr. Joel, but that doesn't only work on flinches, it works on anything with a secondary effect. And Togekiss can be very problematic.
Yes, unless you have a good counter, and looks like a rock type could be a good counter.
Ah, yes, Tyranitar, but it's still got that part dark type. So if James has that fairy type move, it will have to worry about that.
Or fighting type.
Or fighting type. Oh, he got the burn here. Unfortunately, that's going to make Tyranitar's attack a lot lower. Hopefully he can still deal with this Togekiss.
Oh, Togekiss.
Decisions are being made, I'm sure. We shall see what decisions will be made.
And we've got the switch out from Master James and his Togekiss going into a Toxapex. Not a bad switch, but brave if that Tyranitar has a ground type move. It seems to be that the burn is affecting this Tyranitar a lot more than Professor Frankie would like.
Well, it looks like we got a good tank versus a good, strong, hard hitter. We'll see what type of movesets and strategies are going on.
And Master James goes for that Baneful Bunker, that annoying move. It's a pretty safe move on that possible switch, but Professor Frankie just goes for the Stone Edge.
And because the Tyranitar is already burned, he will not be toxic.
So let's see what happens now. Tyranitar goes for Stone Edge and connects, and it does a lot less than I'm sure Professor Frankie wanted.
I would definitely assume that is as much as so. And with that big beef, with the defense and special D, that's going to be even less damage now. So, what type of decisions will Frankie make?
That's a good question to see. I've got to respect Master James for that stockpile. It's a really good decision. He had seen how much the damage Tyranitar had done to him, and knew that the Stone Edge had a chance to miss and that it wouldn't do as much because of that burn. Got really lucky with that flamethrower burn. And now comes Urshifu. This is going to be Surging Strikes Urshifu, so it's going to be water fighting, it looks like.
And now he has 2 stockpiles off, so that means now that his defense and special D are now ×2, which I'm sure naturally already pretty stocky.
And that sandstorm goes away, so that little chip he was getting from the sandstorm also went away, and we see the Toxapex recovering with that black sludge. What will Master Frankie do about this?
I could see the Baneful Bunker coming, and now he has the opportunity to toxic his opponent.
And with a Thunder Punch, he will. But what Master James probably didn't know is that Urshifu has an ability called Unseen Fist that allows it to hit through protecting moves. But what I didn't know was that didn't get toxic from Baneful Bunker. That's good knowledge to have.
Wow, that's a pretty effective ability, honestly, against such strategy.
Oh, and the G-Max move that it gets hits through Max Guard. So, protecting in front of an Urshifu is basically a waste of a turn.
Good to know, good to know.
And it looks like Master James goes for the Dynamax here. Pretty bulky. I wonder what he's going to use to hit the Urshifu. Will he go for a Max Strike, Max Ooze, or maybe even a Max Geyser? Don't know.
I think maybe he was just trying to tank up even more with the HP increase against those super effective Thunder Punches.
Agreed. But he ate that first one really well.
Honestly. Quite impressive.
He goes for the Max Ooze, which raises that special attack. Now, I don't know if he's a special attacker. I know Toxapex has a pretty decent attack stat. But regardless, he's getting that damage on the Urshifu. And there goes the Dynamax from Professor Frankie.
It's time to step up everybody's play here. Power increase for him as well now.
Well, indeed. We will see probably a Max Lightning coming out from this Urshifu onto this Toxapex.
And I do know, because they Dynamax at different times, that means that Toxapex will have to minimize here in a turn or two.
Indeed.
Which may give Frankie some sort of a temporary advantage.
Oh, but there comes the Max Strikeout. That will lower Urshifu's speed one stage, making him slower. Will that still be slower than Toxapex? I do not know. But we also see that light and that electric terrain on the field, so there will be no sleeping as long as that's on the field.
That is a great set of information to know for anybody that plays Pokemon, because if you do not know, you can get caught in that situation where you make a mistake and you waste a turn, which can be the difference between winning and losing in a close match.
Indeed, we've seen that happen before with one of these battlers, and hopefully he's learned from his mistake. I believe he has. And now we see Toxapex go tiny again in the face of this Urshifu.
Going for the Baneful Bunker.
Unfortunately for Master James, Urshifu keeps its ability whenever it Dynamaxes, and it will still hit through that Baneful Bunker.
But takes the hit quite well. Alright, now they're both on the same playing level. We'll see who can take out who.
Oh, what will Master James Professor Frankie do? What will Professor Frankie do in the face of this +2 defense, +2 special defense Toxapex? And he goes for a Polka.
Ooh, worthy. Now he's like power increase and defense.
That is definitely going to help as we see the Toxapex get rid of its...
Oh, there you go.
But the
Urshifu,
the Urshifu cannot hold on. But that also leaves the Toxapex in a tricky situation with no boost. What will Professor Frankie bring in to try to get rid of this thing once and for all?
And that is a great question. Cinderace! Alright.
Interesting choice. I wonder what the Cinderace will do in the face of this. Gotta remember that Baneful Bunker is still an option, and there it comes.
And it will punish you.
If he makes a contact move. Oh! Playing around the Baneful Bunker, he goes for the bounce. Unfortunately, Master James can go for that move twice in a row, even though it has a lower chance to succeed. And the electricity leaves the battlefield, meaning sleep shenanigans are back in play.
Will luck play on his side?
Oh, and there comes that second baneful
Looks like
bunker.
luck followed through. Now he will be toxic by such decision with the physical contact against the baneful bunker.
Unfortunately, if Professor Frankie cannot deal with this Toxapex, what will happen?
It's definitely a wall.
Indeed it is.
So he's going with a different strategy.
Out into the Poliwrath.
Looks like he's going to get that Venoshock off.
The Venoshock's a real nice play there. It does double damage if the opponent is poisoned. Not to mention he gets stabbed. That hits at roughly 130 power.
And it looks like we might have some decisions about to be made. Looks like Master James is going for the switch out for type advantage.
What? Oh, and the hypnosis misses. But Master James is not out of the fire yet. That Poliwrath.
No, not at all.
That Poliwrath could still hurt him.
We'll see if he can take this hit.
Oh, unfortunately he could not. If that Poliwrath would have had Ice Punch, it might have been a good night for that Togekiss.
Or maybe should have switched out. But hey, this is how we learn.
Well, to be fair, Master James had not shown off the Fairy type move yet. So there was a chance that he didn't have it.
But there was also a chance he was also flying type in the sense that he could have used the flying type move against his fighting type Pokemon because Poliwrath is fighting water. So either way, that is two chances that he could have been super effectively hit. I mean, it's all about what chances are you willing to take.
Exactly. Oh, and the Tyranitar lives a Dazzling Gleam and goes for that Iron Head.
What a shot.
It does a chunk of damage to this Togekiss, but that burn is whittling it down. And we just saw that Dazzling Gleam do a lot to this Tyranitar.
Looks like the Dazzling Gleam is going to follow through on the finish with the Tyranitar. This Togekiss is something Frankie needs to figure out a solution for.
I've already figured out the solution.
Oh.
But I don't have it in this match.
Well, it looks like Frankie will have to create some new strategies for this Togekiss in future matches.
And now we see Togekiss versus Togekiss. Are they both the Serene Grace set? Or does one of them have Super Luck going for those lucky crits? Oh, and Togekiss goes for Yawn on the other Togekiss.
Interesting.
The Tri-Attack, Serene Grace. Not a bad move. He has a chance to be paralyzed, burned, frozen. None of those happen though. We see both of them taking damage from that sand though.
It's pretty good luck on Master Frankie's part there.
Oh, and we got to switch out from Master James. Going into a Milotic. Special defensive and physically defensive monster. Oh, Togekiss goes for the Sky Attack.
And I see the strategy with the Yawn. I get it now.
Indeed.
I'd like to thank my sponsors, giving me the kind of love
And the flinch off the Milotic. That Sky Attack flinch. Wow.
What will Professor Frankie do?
And here
Looks
comes-
like he's gonna go for that flinch again.
Will he get it? He does indeed get it. This, you hate to see it, but this is what Togekiss does. Here comes the Yawn out onto the Milotic. What did the Milotic go for? And the Milotic goes for that Blizzard. It does a lot to that Togekiss. But it will go to sleep at the end of this turn. And Milotic goes for another Blizzard. It might KO. Here comes the Air Slash out from Togekiss. Oh, it does not flinch this time. The Blizzard connects with the Togekiss, and that will be enough to knock it out. It's not looking good for Professor Frankie here. But the Milotic just went to sleep. He's been slowly whittling down some of Master James's more terrifying mons. And maybe he can do a sweep here with his last mon, Venusaur. It's gonna be difficult, but it might happen. Oh, my apologies, Professor Frankie has two mons. And he goes for the Solar Beam. And Milotic is unfortunately asleep. How do you feel about that, Mr. Joel?
Well, I feel like if that solar beam goes off, that's a bye-bye on the Melodic.
I also feel the same way. And you'll see the Solar Beam connect with the Milotic, and down it goes. That possibility of coming back is getting higher as we speak.
And it still looks like James has a fair amount of Pokemon left. What a good advantage to work with.
A few at max health. Professor Frankie definitely has his work cut out for him, but can't count someone out until they're out.
It's not over till it's over. Well said. I've seen crazy comebacks in my time.
I've seen crazier comebacks. And now comes the Leech Seed onto the Mr. Rhyme. Now, Mr. Rhyme can hit this thing with... Oh, there comes the Freeze Dry. Both of Mr. Rhyme's stab is super effective against this Venusaur. So, down goes Venusaur. And now it will come Professor Frankie's last Pokemon in this battle. Now comes the Cinderace.
Well, at least he has type advantage.
Indeed. He has type advantage.
This might be a one-shot.
And Cinderace is known for cleaning up teams that have been weakened earlier. The Pyro Ball will connect and knock out the Mr. Rhyme. That's what happens when you're an Ice type going against a Fire type, don't you
With
say?
an all-out Fire type powered move.
Exactly.
With a hard-hitting physical hitter.
So what will Master James bring in now? Oh, and out comes that pesky Toxapex. Let's see what Professor Frankie can do about it this time.
Honestly.
You gotta remember, we've seen that Toxapex go for a move before, so Professor Frankie doesn't hit this move, which he does not. It's gonna do a lot of damage with that Venom Shock. But it's not enough to knock it out.
With the crit. There we go.
I'm pretty sure that Toxapex has Merciless, which if an opponent is poisoned, it always crits.
And it does have Merciless. I'm pretty sure I've heard Master James say that he bred out for that. Which is a brilliant strategy.
It is highly likely, considering we didn't see the regeneration from whenever it switched out and switched back in, which I know is another one of its abilities.
That's a solid statement. Solid statement.
And the Pyro Ball connects this time, and it's such a shame because this second Pyro Ball would have KO'd it.
Well, ladies and gents, thank you for watching. This was a phenomenal battle between Master James and Professor Frankie. Thank you for having a good time with us today. And Master Finn, do you have any last words?
Yes, I thought it was a very good battle, and I'm looking forward to the post-interview to see how these two thought that the battle went themselves. Maybe see how Professor Frankie thinks he could have changed it, and how Master James thought the battle went in his favor. I'm Master Finn, and this is Professor Joel, and we've been your commentators today.
T.L.P.C. out. T.L.P.C. everyone, this is Professor Joel. We just had a phenomenal battle between Professor Frankie and Master James. I'm pretty proud of Master James here. He had almost a sweep. You know, it was a great match. He gave Frankie a great run, but I know that always inspires Professor Frankie to come back stronger with greater stuff always, and that's how any loss will ever make us feel in the TLPC, because you don't win or lose here. You always learn and you always grow. So with that being said, who wants to start out?
Well, I did learn that I should have done a better part on the training, not just focusing on the levels. That was my biggest problem for today. My training wasn't up to par, so their stats weren't as exact as they needed to be, so that'll be different next time, so they won't be taken out as easily.
Well said, Master Frank. And how do you feel, Master James?
I feel pretty good, knowing that I was able to hold my ground and be able to put up that wall that I said I was going to keep up, and testing out Frank the Tank's ability to sit there to try to actually penetrate and get through, because we both are still learning a lot about these gen Pokemon. And then with the new DLC coming out, we're going to have to learn even more. Old dogs learn new tricks. It's not a saying that doesn't stay old.
Hey, you tell me you got the ibuprofen, man. I'm getting a headache from all this studying.
There's always something new coming out that surprises me and Frank the Tank the most. So I'm really happy to sit there and try to keep going on with some new strats and new things that coming out with it, because, you know, that's all we do is just try learning. So,
well, what I honestly got to say to in this whole scenario between everything is I do know one thing about Professor Frankie, and he is unstoppable in the sense of his grit and his persistence. He will never give up on himself or any battle. He will always come back stronger than ever. So with that being said, you have now found motivation in this beautiful battle, and we'll see you next week with more beautiful hyper-trained Pokemon and maybe a new strategy or two. T.L.P.C, everyone. Out.